I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Thursday, March 9th, 2023. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. I know that most of you are still trying to comb through all of our coverage from last weekend's Arnold Classic, but I want you to put that on hold for just a minute, because we need to talk about the Arnold Classic Brazil, which is scheduled to take place next month. Because according to a report released last week, that's where Beyraz Tabani is scheduled to make his season debut. This feels like ancient news at this point, but there was a time at the tail end of last season when people were talking about Beyraz being one of the most underrated bodybuilding in the open division. And there's a good chance we find out just how true those sentiments are in a few weeks, because there's a possibility that he steps into the building and completely cleans house on his way to another big win. Even though he has a small sample size, this guy's proven that he's the real deal, and people would be crazy not to have him on their radar heading into the Arnold Brazil, because that's a show he can win if he's at his best. Now that we've had a chance to digest what the battle between Ramon and Urs does for the immediate future of the classic physique division, it feels like it's probably a good time to remind everyone that Terence Ruffin, who happens to be a two-time winner at that show, is taking the entire first half of the season off to make improvements for the first time in years. And if you've been following his off-season progress, well, then you already know that he's going to be ready for war by the time November gets around and the Olympia is ready to go. There are only a handful of people in the division who actually have the luxury of taking an extended off season, which obviously gives him a competitive advantage over all the other guys who just competed last weekend. And as he's proven so many times throughout his career, when he's at the top of his game, the last thing you want to do is give someone like Terence Ruffin a competitive advantage. Speaking of long off seasons giving you a competitive advantage, how about what we're seeing right now from Robert Thames? Because he's looking more and more like he's going to cause some major problems in this division this year. Robert's been asked a handful of times about what his competitive plans are for the season, and up to this point, he and his team have kept that information close to the cuff. But a few weeks ago, he did say that he was officially starting his contest prep when he was weighing in at about 254 pounds, which is wild when you consider how lean he already is right now. We've seen him beat some higher level guys in this division already, so if his improvements in the gym translate to the stage, he'll be an interesting wild card to keep an eye on as the season progresses. And our last little bit of news to you today is another update from the Masters Olympia, following an announcement late last week from contest officials that they were officially lowering the minimum age for entry from 45 to 40 years old. Now, I'm sure there are probably a million angles to take on this, but we're only going to focus on one, which is the fact that lowering the age minimum by 5 years opens up the doors for more athletes to compete, which can ultimately make this a much more competitive show all the way across the board. So between this and the increase in the overall amount of prize money that they announced a few weeks ago, well, it'll be interesting to see what kind of fish they can reel in now that they're chumming the waters with some serious bait. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.